Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at techtrader.com on Saturday, the 22nd of July. This is the weekend webinar. Well, the market's pressed and had some choppiness, but we are certainly a lot of stocks we trade and have been swinging or doing very well. So let's take a look at where we're at this point in time, getting long in the tooth. As if you look at the long-term rally since October of last year, when the S&P 500 traded just under 3,500. Recently, we got near 4,600. So, we got 1,100 points rally in about eight or 9 months. And in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 1, 2, 3, looks like a very difficult call as to what kind of wave this is based on the angle. But we did get to the top of the channel, at least the way I look at it. Not quite to the double top from the February-April period of 22, but should we get up there, we're looking at 4,600 roughly. Looking at the Nasdaq 100, obviously a similar action, but a difficult day. They really got hammered the last couple of days, bringing it down to from the multi-year high that it reached just a couple of days ago, 15,932, and brought it down 500 points. Now there is some support here at the double top that occurred prior at 15,275.85. That's your first support. And beneath that, you have the trend line that comes in. It's like about 15,070. So we'll leave it there for now, but if we do extend it, we're looking at 16,875 roughly as a potential target on an extension. And that's only the middle channel. The transportation index have been doing well of late, very well. And although it did have a couple of sloppy days, Thursday, Friday, not nearly showing me the negativity that Nasdaq was putting up last couple of days. So we're still intact on this. And the IWM small cap index, which was doing great, got up near resistance, near key resistance. Look at this double top up here. And we approached it, didn't quite get there, but the top of the channel that I've drawn in here was tagged. And basically, if it's a 1, 2, 3, we have a wave 4 coming. And key support on the Nasdaq, on the IWM small cap index right now is 189. And your target is about 202, 203 up here if it does extend. I'm looking at some of the key technicals. The Clinton oscillator, which I follow closely, gets overbought every time it gets over 150.60 to 180 to 200, and oversold down in that 150, 125 to 165 range down here. Right now it's kind of neutral. The VIX showing some apathy as the market continues to drift lower in this, or should I say the index continues to drift lower from the mark spike high at 34 down to 13. Now this level is the lowest level that we've reached in 3.5 years, folks. So at some point this is going to spike and the market's going to roll. We may have already started that. But next week's going to be, I think, a critical week for the market. We'll see what happens. But the jury's still out, but it's not a pretty sight, particularly on the VIX. That's my take. Let's look at some of the major stocks that are involved that have run this market, like Apple. What a move this has had from a January low, 124, reaching 198. 74 points for Apple in a 7-month period, about 60% gains. Fantastic move. And it's taken out all-time highs. Last Wednesday's midweek high at 198.23 was the highest ever achieved in Apple. Your target now is about 204. The support would be this pullback low. In my mind, 187. That's where I stop it. Amazon also has pulled back. You can see it wasn't even an all-time high, not even close. As Amazon reached as high as 188 as pre-split and had a 5-wave decline. Reversed here, and you can see the rising channel now. The resistance up about 136.5, 137, and your next target, if you do break above that, would be mid 140s. But I see a rising trend line here that's in jeopardy of a breakdown, and there's a couple support levels beneath that as well. Let's take a look. Amazon's 50-period moving average is about 124.5. The trend line is about 125.75. That zone is key. If we break that, Amazon plunges, takes the market down with it. We'll see. Right now, it's still holding trend lines, and so is Apple. Google, it's a different story. If they're popping out, looking like it was starting the fifth wave, that rolled over. You cannot let Google go below 115 3/4. That's where I think it really gets ugly. So nice chart so far. The angle probably looks like this. We'll just have to see what this wants to do. But there might be one more leg up, which could take it to 135, even 145. Microsoft, been phenomenal, but it also spiked up Tuesday. Well, it's an all-time high. You betcha. Microsoft tagged 366.78 and finished the week at 344.90. So about 22 points off the high. Still well above price and moving average support. First sign of big trouble on this one be under 327. And if there's another leg, I'm looking for 375. Netflix, really bad week. Spiked up to an all-time high. Wasn't quite all-time, was it? No. But it spiked up to a multi-year high. On Wednesday, tagging 485, only to finish at 423.90 2 days later. It's at initial support. I think the key break is right here. If you see this below 411, that's where I think it's a big problem for this stock. It could come down quickly into the 365.70 range. Meta, or it used to be Facebook, obviously. Look at this chart. Again, another big run up and then a rollover on Thursday, Friday, right on the trend line, at least the one I've drawn, or just beneath it. And we don't want to see this come down much further before bouncing, because if it does, you might see 278, a snapback, and then a rollover. Could be the beginning of a downtrend on Meta. You can't tell, it's too early. NVIDIA, powerful move, but this too, reached an all-time high at 480, almost 481, and closed 444 and change at the end of the week on support. This has to hold here, or your next target is about 400. And finally, Tesla, one of the hardest downside breaks this week, breaks through the trend line, 2 moving averages, and lateral price support. It might be vulnerable to somewhere around 235.40 zone. I'm not kidding, it looks quite vulnerable. Be careful with that one. Let's look at some of the Nasdaq generals. What about some of the major ETFs we follow closely? Well, I like semiconductors. You can see why. Look at that inverse head and shoulders and big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move up. And the fifth wave consolidation did result in a little bit higher, but it's dangerous. If semiconductors crack that line, they're coming down at 145, 140, 138 in that area, and a break from that level would be dangerous, really bad. The next target conceivably 165. Financials, well, they haven't done very well until just the last week or two when they broke back out again. But look at this. Here's your long-term declining top line. We're right to it. If we fail here, this will come down. If we break out, the target is going to be in low 90s, around 92. A big 20-point run from here. Now, if that happens, likely the market's going to be in a big rally mode. So this is a key level. And if it fails, it could be a monster 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave down, which could take it substantially lower. And finally, as you know, we follow biotechs very closely. Looked like a nice long-term decline, double bottom pop platform. And I thought we were going to explode here, but we got right to resistance and failed. We did bounce, but in what looks like a rising wedge or bear flag, and I'm concerned that if it fails here and rolls over, it's likely to be a test of 78, 79, something like that. It's a long way, and we'll see what happens. It might be a 1, 2, and then we have 3, 4, and 5 coming. I'm concerned about biotechs, of course. So we have a lot of ETFs to follow besides that. What about gold? Well, it looked good for a few days until the pullback. That's GDX, and here's J and UG. This one's come to the declining top side. It fell back. So I don't see the big play yet, but that was a promising bounce off the low. Now, the AGQ silver ETF looks better in that it broke out above the moving average, had two breakaway gaps, and right out testing that gap before the pullback. So key support now is 29.30, the resistance is 33, and your target's 36 and 40. If we get a move. What about Onion Boil? Natural gas starting to stabilize from the nice base, but what you need to do on onion in particular is get that over 783.85, and then you're on your way to 8 3/4 and 9 3/4, 10. Boil, you have to reverse splitting, what, 1 to 20? You can see the run up to resistance. We have a neckline there. We have a left shoulder, head, right shoulder type pattern. This has got to come up, out, and through 76 before we can get up to 90, 92. I wouldn't anticipate that just yet. Let's look at some of the major ETFs we follow closely. A lot of stocks to follow, mostly on the long side. I'm going to waylay once again the short side, and I have a lot of work to do there, and not completed it yet. But starting off at AAOI, a massive move has taken place. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We can hold it there. Your next target is 14 and 17 and change, maybe more, maybe 20. Powerful chart. ABCM. Base, breakout, falling flag, pop, explode, and flag again. I like this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, with the fifth wave taking me to high 20s, maybe 30. EHR has been a monster in midway for us. This stock did very well for us in the last year and a half, 2 years, going from mid-single digits to high 50s, actually traded 53, low 50s. Still, last week's initial breakout and then pullback looks bullish to me. And if the market's not done, it can support tech stocks. I think it has a $60 label. AI, talking about being squeezed to the apex, well, it's right there. Either it breaks out over 42 and rips, or rolls over under 36 and gets hammered back into the, near 29.30. AMAM, beautiful long-term chart, rising configuration, little wedges formed. Next target, 18.22. AMPH, look at this one. The biotech stock has gone from the January low in the 28 range to the mid 60s. Is that an all-time high? Obviously overbought, but with huge momentum, this might be low to mid 70s. AMSC, breaking out of a base, popped on Wednesday and backed off. Might be a swing here. I like the way this looks. There's the new angle of the set. The target is 10 and 11.5. APLD, well, after a beautiful base and a breakout with a big gap and run, it ran up to the first target near 10. Now it's consolidating for like a couple months. So if a wedge breaks out, first target would be 10, 11, 10.5, 11, and then 16. APP in a beautiful rising channel. It has been for, all year, taking it from the January low around 9.5 to the $30 range. Actually, the high here was 29.25. So but it's flagging. If it's not done, it feels like it might not be. I'll look for 32. ARL, Arlo, beautiful base breakout, wedge, flag, coil, another flag. I like this look a lot. Get through there, 11 3/4, and we're targeting 15. ATech, beautiful long channel, rising channel for a year, from the $6 range into the near 20, traded 19, I should say 19.25. The targets to 21 and 24 going forward. If it extends, it looks like it wants to. ETRO, in the aerospace sector, the stock popped, pulled back down. It's been steadily moving up in the lower half of the long-term channel. Any blowout here gets you to 25 and 30. The UPH, after a big explosive move in January and a run up to my targets, both of them, it pulled back and wedged, now broke out again. I like this little wedge in here, provided it pops, and if it does, my next target is 13.5 and 15. AUR, beautiful base breakout wedge. We put a swing on it. It popped to the target and pulled back. Next target, 4, 4.5 area. Maybe it's size 6. Azul, the South American airline with an inverse head and shoulder breakout of the neckline. break the resistance, run up to 13 from a 5.5 range, and then back off to test prior highs across here. Looks like you can have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the next target at 15.5. BBIO, coil, pop, rising channel, explosive breakaway gap, and now another little wedgie. Boy, is that strong. Target's 43 and 70 if it runs. BDTX broke out of a wedge with a massive gap, exploded and then pulled back in a 3-wave corrective falling wedge to the prior high area right there. So if it holds that area, 7 and 9 may be targets. Showed you Boyle, inverse head and shoulder. Bohr, this oil and gas stock has been in a rising channel for 2 years now, having gone from 1 to 8 with a target now of 12. BTBT in the crypto world, breaking out of what looked like a potential inverse head and shoulders, or at least the right-handed extended V, cup and handle, whatever. Look at that run up. It ran from under $1 to almost 5. So it's got a long momentum. And for me, the next angle of ascent and target would be 6 and then 7 potentially. Kaba, strong run up from October through January. Pulled back in a coil, popped and broke out, retested, popped and coiled again, and now it's breaking out. This one's on the verge of a big move, I believe. I think you're going to see high teens. Kaba, recent IPO broke out, exploded, now wedging. Should it break out of this wedge, we could see something in the high 50s, low 60s. Interesting chart. Support 46. CBay. Well, it popped about 3 weeks ago, big gap above everything, and then now it's flagging. And when it extends here, 14.15 and 18.20 will be targets. CDX, look at this inverse head and shoulders for this CDLX. Broke out and pull back. I think it's a swing, and it's a swing to 12 and 15. CFLT breaks out of a base, forms a wedge, and breaks out of the wedge. It did back off, but I like to look at this for a move to the high 40s. CLS, inverse head and shoulder breakout, and then pull back in a corrective channel. There's a re-breakout. There's the extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up and flagging. Might have more momentum to 18 and 21. Keep an eye on that one. CLSK, and also crypto, also broke out. Also got up to the target and backed off. Top of the channel as well. They need to rest here. Coin, also in the same realm. Crypto, big move, 47 to 111 in about 4 weeks. Nice move though, and it broke out of the base. The next target, 134. CRBU, after a long downtrend, breakaway gap, spike up to resistance and even through it, then a gap down, but it held support. Not sure what this wants to do yet, but if Caribou gets back over 7 with energy, look for 8.5 and 10. Covenant Logistics, one of the better truckers out there, along with XPO and KNX, in my opinion. This one breaks out of a coil and now steadily running higher. I have a target in the mid-70s if it keeps going. CBNA, one of the better swings all year, broke out here, exploded, pulled back in a coil, popped from the coil or wedge, went long. It's been a beautiful 5-wave advance before it finally got up into the 57 range, sorry. So 57 took a bit of a plunge to 45, but let's face it, stock goes from 670 to 47 in a couple of months. It's vulnerable. DraftKings, tech traded swing when it broke out. It keeps going, and it's flagging. Next target, 35. Leonardo DRS, IPO came out and dropped and then popped and over and reversed. But if you look at the overall pattern, for me, that's what it's looking like. Target 19. EDU, long consolidation at wave 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wave 5 may be beginning as it broke out Friday. My target is 57. EH, Chinese aerospace, long downtrend. This stock was 132. 129.80, all the way back down to the low single digits. Exploded, coiled breakout. Has a lot of room to run. Targeting 23.5, 4, and 30. ELF, let's show you this again because it's my favorite chart of the year. It's in June of last year. When it traded at well, let's see. Traded down around 21 and went up to 120. Six-fold increase in a year. Pretty amazing chart, and it doesn't look over. Next target, 135.40. LTEC, this line base, quiet for a year and a half, vertical. In the midst of that vertical move, it did a 4 or 5 day tight wedge and exploded out of that, and then ran up some more. But lately, in the last month, it's just been sitting here consolidating at or above support, right at the trend line too. ELBA, recent IPO, exploded, wedge, and broke out. This is a tech trader swing. You get over 5.5, you're probably going 6.5 and 7.25. ENVX, nice chart after a big downtrend, broke out, coiled, popped, flagged, popped again, and although it pulled back, my target remains 26.5, 3/4. ETNB, long uptrend. This has gone from 2 to 20 some odd, about a 10-fold increase. The high was 22 and change. Pull back and a coil, it looked like a setup for more. As long as that trend line doesn't break, then your targets are 22 and 27. EVLO breaks out of a base and spikes this week. Really looks good. For an extension to 30, this could triple from here. EVLV, base, breakout, coil, breakout, retest. Target 7.75. Finger. It was really good to us as it popped and pulled back in 209. They gave you a swing. It went to target number 1 at 4. It pulled back and went to target number 2 at 7. It's pulled back again. I'm still looking for 7, 9.5, and maybe more than that. We'll see if this turns out to be one of these kind of moves. Not quite that, but I think pullback's a buy. First Solar, absolutely stellar. It broke out and ran up to 210 again and pulled back, but the overall chart pattern remains as bullish as it can be, at least for this stock, although it's consolidated a lot since March. You can see, other than that one spike day, I believe on earnings, the stock has been kind of just in a consolidation mode. It needs to do some work to get up above 214. If so, 220 and 230 are targets. GCT, nice base, exploded and pulled back. Now it's working its way higher again. And my target's 11.5. Genie, nice break out of a base, pop and flag. You break through here, 10 and 12.5, 13 are targets. GFAI, spiked on Thursday and Friday, taking it from 4 to almost 10. And before I pull back, I like to look at this for more. It fills the gap, $12. GXO, my other favorite transportation logistics stock, looks like it could be in the mid-70s at some point. HRO was great all year until it broke down in a falling wedge, but it did pop out on Wednesday. It's got a two-day inside flag. The target's 24 and 28.5. IAS, steady as she goes, rising channel. Your next target is mid-20s. Immunogen broke out, popped. We put a flag, and the flag, we put a swing on it around 14. Made it up to, looks like about 20.5, and it's consolidating nicely. The next leg could take you to 26.7. IMBT, my top 20 picks for the year, and you can see why. In September, October period, it ran all the way through January before it consolidated for a few months. Then broke out again and retested. In essence, along 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm looking for a monster fifth wave, especially if it gets over high 20s, your first target. INMD, beautiful base pattern, finally broke out a week and a half ago, and now it's flagging. I love this chart for 50 and 55. INOD, which we gave you as a swing earlier in the year, has done very well from the 4 to 14 range. Recently broke out of a coil, popped and tested the high and backed off. Should it get to 14.25, 17.5 your target. Intel, big base, breakout, wedge, and pop. You need Intel over 35 to really get it going. Then your targets are 37.5 and 40.5. INZY, big multi-wave run up, then a long coil. That coil broke out. We're at resistance here, but your next target is going to be 9. IONQ, Beautiful base. Breakout, flag, coil, pop, flag, and go again. Extension target 21.5, 22. IOT. Also multiple waves up. Consolidate and pop and wedge. I'm looking for high 30s. Copen, big base, breakout, and still coiling. I'm waiting for it to actually get over 250, 240, 35, 30, 37 to 50 in that zone is resistance. And then I'm looking at 3.5, 4.5, and 6.5. LMND, long downtrend, inverse head and shoulders with a rising neckline, and it broke out. The next target is 32. MNMD, base, breakout, and a little flag here, looking for 5.5, 7. MRAM, you can see the multiple wave base, the breakout, tag test of the August high, and then push through it. I think we're going to see this at 11.5 and 13. MRVL, beautiful base, breakaway gap, wedge, or coil, and breakout. Now, it's going to need to get above the 68 range, but my target is 75.6. NVTX exploded, coiled, exploded, and retested, and then went vertical. Next target is 15 if it keeps running. NEOG, nice 1, 2, 3, and then a long coil. And then a run up to take out the high and edge to new highs. I like the way it's at resistance here and handling itself. Looking for more upside mid-20s. Nikola, low price puppy, went from literally 50 cents to $3 or sixfold in a month, 5 weeks. With a pop wedge and then a pop, another wedge is forming. I'm now looking for 4. NNOX. Well, one of our better swings this year, as it broke out and pulled back. We gave you a swing right there around 9.75. Within a month, it was trading at the 23 and change, and then pulled back. It's orderly, but it's going to need to get above 17 with energy. Stop under here, 13.75. Navitas Semiconductor, a little junior semi with a long downtrend, and then it recovered, broke out. A little choppy, but I think the stock that holds here can make it to 12. OLMA breaks out of a base, retests, pops, and a beautiful coils form. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave gets me to 15. 1CY also breaks out of a slow price stock, breaks out of a long base, pops and wedges. Target 4.75. OPK, long downtrend, base, breakout, flag. I'm targeting 2.75, 3.75. OPRX, it looks like it's forming an inverse head and shoulders. I know some institutions accumulated stock. I believe they're going to get a breakout eventually. I would wait. And I would wait for a move above 15.5, 3/4, 16. Then you're looking at high teens and low 20s. ORIC breaks out of a coil, pops and forms another wedge or a coil. This one's ready for more upside. Target 11.75 and 13.75. Oscar Health, pop, retest, breakaway gap, and rising channel. Next target, 11. Overstock. It was a tech trader swing short from the mid 50s all the way down to the high teens. It finally broke out, exploded, retested the gap and held, and right back to the high. I'm not sure how far they can take this, but it looks to me like they should test 35, and maybe get up to 40. PPSI comes out of a base, spikes, wedges, pops, and forms a little wedge. Runs up sharply through my targets. My next target is 12.5. QBTS explodes, coils, breaks out, and retests, but I'm looking for more. 4 and 5 are your targets. ETRX breaks out, pulls back, forms a beautiful little pattern. It continues to trend. I'm looking for 30 and 36. RCEL comes out of the base, forms a little flag, and there's a breakaway gap. Runs up to the target, comes down hard, right to test that gap, and held it, including the trend line, before bouncing, flagging, and running again. A bit choppy, but it looks to me like 24 and 30 longer term targets. Riot. In the crypto world, we've had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I'd be careful, but this little wedge says it may be higher before too long. 22.5 and 27.8 potential extension targets. Rivian, Also, one of our better swings this year, as it came out across here, we put a swing on it right there. It just went vertical and met all my targets before flagging. 30 and 35 might be extension targets on this one. RNW just popped out Friday. We put a swing on it. It held near the highs for the day. I'm now looking for 7.5. ROIV, one of my top 20 picks for the year in the biotech sector. You can see it's worked its way higher and made it all the way up to 12 and change. We're backing up, but I like this look for more. 13.75 and 18 targets. Boku popped out of a base and then backed off a wedge and popped again, and now it's flagging here. If this flag comes out, 88 is your target. RXRX popped and had a falling wedge and then exploded and had another wedge. That wedge broke out and now it's stalled for another couple of days. I like the look of this for 19 and 22. RXT stay as she goes. Backed off this week, but I like the look. I think it goes to 4 and 5.5. Shopify breaks out of a coil, pops and forms a little mini wedge. I like the overall look as well. I think the stock's headed for 78 and 85. SLNO pop coil, which is way higher to my target at 6 and change and back down. Next target, 8 and change. Snap, coming out of a base, it broke out here, went through a triple top and then pulled back. If it continues, 15 and 16.5 are extension targets. SOFI explodes from 4.5, 10 wedges and breaks out again and retests the high. Pulls back a little bit, but a move through the $10 range gets me 11.75 and 14. SSYS is definitely going to be taken over, but we've been long since the 14 and 15 range and it made it up to 21 and change. I think it's taken over for 24 and 26. TARS, as noted by Gilles during the week, exploded, but it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, or it might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 1, 2, and 3. Either way, it's got to have a pullback to set up another wave that gets me to 28.31. TDC, strong chart from the October lows of last year when it was 29.30, and it's nearly tripled to 57 and change. There's some resistance overhead, but I think it tests 60.61. Technoglass broke out. We put a swing on it. It's been beautiful all year since November, and it's gone from the high 20s to the mid 50s. My target now is 70. TRHC, beautiful base, breakout, falling flag, and run up, targeting 10.575. UIS, a new swing, broke out, and it's run up to target number 1. If it gets through here, I would actually look for a move in the $8 range. UPST, beautiful base, sharp run up, pullback, wedge forms, then blows out. Target number 2. If it consolidates for a bit, the next target might be 69 and 72. BIST in the oil sector, powerful move, folks. So under 2 to over 26 in a couple 3 years, and it's still going. $30 target. Weaver. Now, Weave Communication broke out of a base, popped with a flag, and then ran up and flagging again. The next target is 13.25. Weight Watchers broke out of a falling wedge, popped, now it's got a mini wedge, but it's above the moving averages. Looking for a retest of 9.75, 10, and then something in the 12 zone. XPEV, the Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer, broke out with a breakaway gap and is flagging. This is the next rate of swing that I'm looking for, 17 and 19. That is the look at all the longs. I may have a separate video for shorts when I do my homework, but for now, that is it for this weekend. And I'll look at about 100 longs, and you got your ETFs and the Nasdaq 100 generals, the indices, and some of the technicals as well. Please review this. Make sure you know it well because you're going to need it next week. This is HB out. Have a great weekend. Bye now.